All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:04 PM. We'll start with roll call.
Mary Ann Banks.
Here.
Natalie Drozda.
Here.
Ian Hurley. Pat King.
Here.
Tom Langston.
Here.
Amanda Ross.
Here.
Tom Sufchuk.
Here.
Michelle Varno.
Here.
And JJ Zanetta. Here.
Okay, first item of business is the meeting minutes from our last meeting, October 15th. They're in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Up next is citizens' comments. So anyone online or in person has 5 minutes to speak, and we ask that you start your speech with your name and address for the record. Do you want to
Start in the room?
start in the room?
Good?
Yep.
All right, my name is Ross Himmler. I live at 921 Livingston Drive. Just want to make a point again for the advocating for the tennis court at Williamsburg Park. I know I was at the commission meeting on the budget. I don't know if the proper term is above the line or below the line. I think these expenditures is currently above the line. Is that the proper verbiage?
It's below.
So it's below, that's the not guaranteed?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm advocating for it to be made above the line. And I know at that meeting, I heard a large discussion on upgrades to the golf course, which I guess are also below the line now. I don't know how, if this group or if it's just the budget commission that makes decisions on what gets approved or not. I know I used to be the PGA pro down at Lindenwood Golf Course before I was the assistant pro at Wildwood up in the North Hills. And I know tee replacements are a substantial cost. And when you look at the green fees, I know on my old course right now, it's $30 for 9 holes with a cart on winter rates for Lindenwood. Mount Lebanon's public course is only $11, which you're allowed to walk, and $8 to ride. So it's an interesting concept of having taxpayer money provide upgrades to a municipal course where green fees and other line items can manage the costs of virtual upgrades. Whereas our general parks like down in Williamsburg or others, there's no way to generate other revenue other than just what comes out of the general fund from taxpayers' money. On that note, I know if the tennis court reconstruction gets put above the line, I just advocate that it remains a tennis court only, or if there needs to be lines, that only one set of lines at the net. The tennis net can be easily used for pickleball because the net height at a pickleball court is 34 inches in the middle and 36 inches high on the sides. A tennis court is 42 inches on the sides at the double post and it falls down to 36 inches. So there's no need to put lines in the back of the courts and then have other people bring nets because they can't use the net. It's not a college adjudicated sport. It's not a high school sport. It's mostly for recreation, more along the lines of just for light exercise. So if lines have to be drawn, this is a lot of ifs, a recommendation from all those on the tennis side of things to only put lines along the middle and have the pickleball players just use that court, use those lines, that net. So with that, just to reiterate, talking to more of my tennis cohorts and those in the USTA, we would love to have an actual hard court outside of just the high school. When high school courts are all jammed, the comments are people first go to Hale Park and Green Tree, then to Scott Park over in Scott, then to Upper St. Clair courts or down to Simmons Park and Bethel Park. Using the hard courts for a lot of us that are in the USTA higher levels, the clay court is a last resort. It's great we have it, but again, it's not what high school kids play on. It's not what college kids primarily play on. So it's pretty nice to have an actual properly painted court down at Williamsburg Park. With that, I know obviously the Mount Lebanon Tennis Center is upgraded to 6 more tennis pickleball courts down right there on Cedar. Has any consideration ever been made to, especially the courts 14 and 15 up on top of the hill with the newer lights, to convert those to hard courts so the community has a little bit more of access to properly prepare for what the high school matches and what future college play would be. So those are just my comments. Just to reiterate, we want to get tennis court at Williamsburg and make tennis more of a focal point for the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ.
Okay, thank you. It looks like we have somebody wanting to speak online. Jocelyn, go ahead and state your name and your address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thanks. I don't think I'll take 5 minutes, but my name is Jocelyn Ardinger. I live at 414 Summit Drive. And I was just calling in to advocate for the rec sports to be more inclusive. I know we have 2 students who are on the wait list for 6th grade basketball, and I know that that is a really big group of kids who always wants to play basketball. And there's only 2 children on the wait list, but because we are limiting the number of kids on a team to 11, that group of kids those 2 children are not allowed to be on a team. And I just really think that we have enough association sports here with tryouts and evaluations and all of these different things that we really should not be limiting the number of kids that we have on the rec sport, so that all children really have access to the ability to participate in sports. There's so much research about the positive benefits for kids, and I think that we really should do everything we can to ensure that children are able to play. And so I just wanted to reach out to this group because I know a famous thing, famous line in Mount Lebanon is, oh, this is the way we've always done it. And I think that there are opportunities to really challenge the way that we've always done it, to open up, especially sports for all children. So I hope that there would be some consideration. When I spoke to folks within the municipality, there was concern about not having enough coaches. But I think if you made a call for people to say, like, hey, we need to have more coaches. I know I've done it myself, where kids were not going to be able to participate in sports, so I signed up to coach. I think people would do it, and I think it's worth, waiting a little bit to allow children to be able to participate. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. We can bring up a couple of these topics under new business later in the meeting.
Yeah.
Next up is a chairperson report. I was just going to report quickly that Tom and I attended the commission meeting, was it last week? It feels like a long time ago. It was a week ago, Tuesday. That was the open session for people to speak in front of the commission about budget items. I spoke about the Cedar turf project. So there's 3 line items in that. Returfing the field, relighting the entire field, including the part that's unlit now. It's the Seymour Field, so Middle and Seymour. And then the 3rd project, which I didn't really know about, but is amazing, is extending the parking on the other side of the batting cages and adding, I think it said 58 spots. Is that what I?
Close to that.
So that would be, so that if you've ever parked over there, it's like kind of blacktop, kind of gravel, kind of make your own space. It's narrow, it's not easy to get in and out of. So improving that would drastically help. Because I know when there could be up to 60 kids playing on that field at once, so that's a lot of cars coming in and out on both sides. And when Dixon's in use too, it's a lot of traffic. So I was spoken proponent of that, bringing up the facts we had from the field census survey, just to reiterate the number of kids using the field, that every organization uses the field, and that we have data on the exact number of hours that would be added by lighting the other half of that field and what the different organizations could do with that. I'm glad I went because one person was there from a neighbor, a community member that lives kind of right there, was there to speak against adding lights to Seymour Field as a person who lives right there, and had some very legitimate complaints. He's had property damage, and I think that's mostly from summer baseball tournaments. It sounded like someone cut one of his trees to make viewing better. He's had people do things like urinate in his yard, all kinds of stuff he had stories about, all inappropriate, but the light's not gonna change. Having lights or not having lights is not gonna change that. So I brought up, he spoke before me, I brought up the fact that the technology of the lighting is far advanced, so the lights themselves shouldn't be bothering anybody. And also, if they do the parking lot there, that would define the parking space. It's very vague right now, so people wouldn't be parking in his yard. If there's a fence there, people would be staying off of his property, et cetera. So hopefully we can appease some of those neighbors, but the commission did mention that if this is passed and above the line, which it is above the line right now, right? Under the capital improvement stuff, that it would still have, there's still quite a process behind that to get that approved. But it's I think, on the right track, and I think the commission was appreciated hearing like some data. Again, it helps to back up all this with the data that we've collected, so that was helpful. And then a lot of people were there talking about our third priority, which was the golf course forward tees. A golfing parent and 3 members of the girls golf team from the high school, as well as 3 or 4 members of senior ladies leagues that are on Tuesday, Thursday, were there speaking, asking for the advanced tees. And I mentioned in mine that that was our third priority as well. And then Tom spoke about the invasive program, correct?
Yeah, and the support of beginning to implement the trail maintenance program.
So
And the articulated tractor.
he was the parks, I was the rec, and we made our points, made our plugs. So that was interesting to go to. So I just wanted to say that we did that, and we'll see where things fall, because at this point, the meetings are all over with, is that correct? And it's up to them to decide what goes above and below the line.
The discussions are over. There's one more budget hearing, but I will tell you that I've never seen a budget change at this stage. Like, they've done the negotiating and call it horse trading sometimes.
Okay,
The negotiations and the straw votes are in. I wouldn't expect to see any change in the budget at this point.
okay, and the golf is below the line.
Not all the golf. They were originally talking about doing more, like they talked about not only adding forward tees, but also laser leveling and resodding existing tees and redoing the parking lot. Currently, as it sits, only new forward tees are included in the budget, but that was our next in priority anyway, and I think that's what the majority of people who spoke and attended the meeting wanted also.
Okay.
So, I mean,
So
it's a
that
win.
is
It
above
was,
line.
yes,
Okay.
it was below. There was really nothing for golf. So we're happy that that project's going through.
Yeah, so again, those people coming to speak, I think, made an impact on the.
It did, and I think people were, reaching out to their commissioners in advance as
Yeah.
well.
Because it really does hit both youth, male and female, and older people, male and female. Like, it is impacting like a large portion of the people that are, I don't know the
Absolutely.
statistics of who uses the golf course, but I think that's a large chunk of who's actually using it.
And indirectly, it's going to benefit everyone with a faster pace of play, If people are trying to hit from the back tees and taking
It
forever.
should be, right.
Right. And even though we made temporary forward tees, we have to move them around for the health of the turf. They're not always there. So it's much better to have permanent forward tees. So
Okay, and then the Williamsburg Park that was brought up before, that is still, the coating on that is below the line.
correct.
Okay. And then can you, David, just explain to everybody, if you know, for the cedar turf and those projects on the capital improvement stuff, what's the next step in the process? Assuming it gets approved above the line, what happens next?
Well, then I and Phil and Rudy Sukol will sit down with Gateway. I think timing is the first decision that needs to be made. Would like to do it with as little impact to sports as possible. However, we also need to do it when we have the chance to get the best contractor and the best price possible. So, I think for sports teams, it's probably better to lose the fall. Sorry, I think there's just less activity, but, you have the master report, you
I
tell
was
me.
gonna say summer, I think, is the least.
Well, so late summer, and you'd lose the entire fall season. There'd be nothing in the winter, and you could hopefully open in the spring. However, for budgeting to get good pricing, if they say, no, you wanna, bid this out in January, February, and start in March, then that's what we're gonna have to do. So we'll try to balance all the factors.
Is Cedar Field resurfacing in the budget for '26?
It is replacing the turf, adding and replacing lights, so we'll have lights at both Middle and Seymour. Sidewalk, fencing, some better spectator areas, and the parking.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why it's not on the CIP.
It's the whole package. I'm sorry?
It's not on the CIP because it's in the 26 budget.
It is in the CIP, but you have to add a couple of projects
couple lines
together.
together.
It's separate pages together,
Okay,
I promise.
okay,
It's in
all
there.
right. So it's in here, but not on this, okay, all right.
It's in the CIP.
Does it need to go out for the financing component of it? Is there,
I believe it is going to need a bond issue, and that could affect timing as well.
okay.
Yeah, that was, if I'm recalling correctly, from the research I did from my appearance for the commission, that was in one of the line items in the proposed 2026 bond.
It's like 7.5 million.
Yeah, it's
Proposed.
in the manager's budget, the way it's proposed. So,
Throwing an idea out there, as this planning happens, Upper St. Clair just opened 2 new full-size football fields and 2 baseball fields on turf, and they have their old grass fields at their rec center. Is making a phone call and striking a deal with them to get some temporary allocation of some of their fields
Sure,
with
we can try
payment to
that.
some of our organizations. That might be something to think about. If they have,
sure. we can
they
try
certainly
that.
have more capacity than they used to have. Is there a way to make a deal with them, whatever season ends up being impacted? Because as you know, it's used by everybody all the time. There is no good time.
And I believe Brafferton Phase 3 was also currently above the line as a CIP project. So you have another field, rectangle area that will be impacted by construction. Not necessarily, the actual field of play, but construction-wise, it'll probably be, that whole site would probably be locked down until complete, I would think.
Right. So maybe alternate those seasons too, so you don't
Another
use the same time.
Factor to
Another thing to
consider.
think of.
There's a lot of pieces in this
Yeah.
puzzle.
Yeah, but great news that it's above the line and hopefully will end up in the final.
Yeah, it certainly appears that it will.
A quick question, harkening back to the golf course. Who approves or decides what the turf fees are?
The what?
The fees to use the golf course?
Oh, well,
Green
the
fees,
same way
green
all
fees.
fees are determined, the department heads and staff people put together a proposed fee schedule, the commission approves it. And that is part of the budget process. So they've already reviewed the fee schedule. I believe it's on the website, but I also anticipate that will be the way it appears right now.
Yeah, I had no opinion one way or the other. I was just curious logistically how it worked.
Yeah, and a word about fees. The manager can approve fee changes during the course of the year without commission approval, because we're always adding programs and new situations come up. So, the gentleman who was advocating for forward tees suggested an increase in fees. So that's something that could still be on the table. We might raise green fees. We were asked in the budget reviews, could we, would it be feasible to implement an increase? And, Colin, our golf course manager, said, sure. So that remains to be seen, but right now that the fees are as we proposed them originally.
Okay, thanks. All right, we'll move on to the commission liaison reports. Oh, yeah, he's not here. I was thinking staff, so never mind. Greg's not here. Staff liaison reports, that's what we're looking for.
You have mine in your packet for review there. A couple high-level things. Just today, we reapplied for our 20th consecutive year with Tree City USA. That is, along with the Arboretum status we hold, kind of a neat thing for this municipality. A lot goes into that, what your budget is, what you put towards forestry, hours spent, everything like that. Right now, we're at $22.98 per resident. That's not per property. So per resident in a house goes yearly towards park trees, forestry, trimming, removals, plantings, all that stuff. So we are into our 20th year. I think the only one ahead of us locally, Crafton has 32 years in the program. A couple other quick things. The North Meadowcroft wrapped up as of today, but only in a sense of substantially complete, back open for recess. So railings went in yesterday, today, shade structures went up. We'll punch that project out probably Monday morning. We'll go through, make a nice list of some touch-up things that'll be expected through there. Over at the fields, we're all winterized and shut down everywhere. Sorry we couldn't hang on for the last
All right.
weekend,
We
but
survived.
Monday was 24 and it would have been a bad situation in that building. Other than that, couple things right now that are above the line is that started below. Fall zone replacement for Rockwood Park. Commission really liked the last couple years' efforts on that. Really takes away from maintenance of buying wood chips, spreading wood chips, rinse and repeat 3 times throughout the year to keep it looking good. So we will tackle that one, and that will also include nice inclusive play elements that are lacking right now on the surface, kind of those fun surface games. And you won't have to worry if the park's muddy after a rain to go down there with kids and play. So I think that's one of the popular benefits of that. Over at Main Park, some of the stuff that's been broken and or coned off for a while, we've seen delivery of that. It was supposed to be 2 months from now, so that's a good thing. We can get that wrapped up and back to full strength up there. Never like when we see cones up there for multiple weeks, just a bad look, but that's it. You guys need anything, you know how to get me, let me know.
Phil, quick question for you. I was recently in Bella Park, and they've now put signs in the field that say field closed for the season. Is there any value or need in any of the in the municipal fields that would get used in the winter for, in snow or inclement weather that would actually damage it, that would make sense to put a temporary sign that closes off the field? Would people listen to it, but B, is it worth, is there any
It's a
value in
reason
trying
to, yeah.
Yeah. As far as like Dixon goes, just working off the map real quick, there's so many entrances to that field. There's no gates. In my mind, the signage is great, but if there's a concern and an actual, agreeance to close fields at a certain day, to me, that means a gate and a lock. I don't think the effort of buying signs, putting them up, is going to stop anything. That's not a hard reset in the spring for me to get fields, especially the skinned-in field and that stuff going. Not too concerned about that. Same thing with John Doctor Field at Bird. I mean, a sign is great. There's signs right down there now that say don't bring your dog, and we all know how that goes. So I think it's short of fencing a field, gating them, and setting policy that these are the dates your fields are closed. I don't think it's worth the effort to sign them.
And there hasn't been any true historical damage to a field from
Like an off season.
Over the winter, yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. I know we prohibit snow removal on the turf field.
Right.
On the synthetic, so as long as that is kept up with, I know sometimes you see big piles pushed away and someone kicking a soccer ball in the middle of winter, but not the end of the world. But as far as the natural surface fields, short of fencing and locks, then no. I think it's.
And if there is snow on the ground and the cedar turf is not open, correct? If we were to rent it and then if
Correct.
it snows on the ground, we would lose our.
I mean, if it's snowed to the point where you can't play on it as it exists, like if it's dusting and you want to play. It's the removal part that is the
problem.
risk for damage. We don't want people out there with snow shovels or
Right.
whatever else they might consider. We don't want that on our surface.
Okay.
I've done synthetic snow removal before for early season, like college sports. The nightmare is that all of a sudden you push a little bit of snow, multiply that by 200 yards of field, and you have a lot of snow. And then if it snows again, I mean, you literally need to be able to haul it, get it out. You lose a lot of crumb rubber infill that way. It's not ideal. And you have to trust your operators too. Otherwise you dig in, and it's very hard to do, as you know.
Crossing my fingers for the third week in February. For me, cross track. All right. David, you do have
Yep.
a report.
Just a quick report on the pickleball court project. Fencing is complete. All we're waiting for are nets and the court coating. It's too cold to put down the color, coating that will ultimately be installed. We have to wait for warmer temperatures in late spring for that. We are hoping to at least get temporary lines down that they'll just paint over later, and we can open this winter. So that's the plan, and we're waiting for that, so.
A month, maybe 6 weeks?
I mean, we could get temporary lines down any day that we get a
That's
decent
it.
dry day, and then Darren and I are ready to roll it out.
Nice.
And you'll be able to reserve online, just like a tennis court. There'll be other programs. I don't know how heavy we'll ramp up programs in the winter when weather is questionable. I don't want to put a lot of effort into something. And plus, I don't think people are going to want to play if it's, below 40 degrees is probably about the threshold. But we'll be there. I mean, if the courts are dry and people want to play, book a court.
When you do open, are you gonna do any sort of an article in Mount Lebanon Magazine or any kind of communication about this is how you can use the court, it's open?
Yeah, we're going to roll it out in the weekly newsletter from the rec department. So if anyone isn't signed up for that, it typically goes every Friday. Occasionally we'll skip. But there's a form on our website where you could just put in your email and sign up for that. We have like over 16,000 email accounts on that, so there's certainly a lot of people in there. But I don't want people to be confused. Just because you took a program or signed up through our online registration system for something, that doesn't automatically put you in there. You have to go into the form on the website and agree to accept that. So it'll be in the newsletter, it'll be on the website, and I'm sure there'll be an article in the magazine at some point. But the first place you're going to see it is in the newsletter.
Great. All right, anything else?
Routine programs and things otherwise.
Great. We'll move on to subcommittee reports. Arboretum Subcommittee, anything there?
Nope.
And you're still looking for anybody who would like to assist you, correct?
Yes.
So if anybody's interested in serving on that committee, let me know. And then second one is Trail Connectivity and Mapping Subcommittee. Any updates there?
No.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to old business. The Youth Sports Organization Oversight Umbrella Organization, I don't have an update on that, other than the field census was very useful for the budget discussions. Proposal to rename Middlefield, Tom?
No update, I've talked to them and they're hanging on, replying, so nothing at this time.
Okay. All right, concept to combine the new rec center and this new stadium, any updates there?
No, the consultant's proposals, the ABC,
Not there,
so they're there, they're just not public.
not made public yet, correct.
So they're still, because they put something in the CIP for
That was me.
27,
Mhm.
for like 22 million, 21 million.
Yep.
Of course, that's 27, but the three options, ABC, are not available to the public yet.
Correct, that's B though, just so you know. What's in the
Option B.
CIP is B. That seemed to be what most people were open to.
Okay.
So something between the minimum and the grand separate building, renovation and expansion, smaller
The
expansion.
bigger one was like 40,
I mean, it was
48 or
tens of
something.
millions,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Is it just gonna fill in the plaza in front of the,
Most likely that's the direction we would go, yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of space there that's really not being used well, so.
Have you heard of any dialogue with the school district on interest in collaborating on anything?
I have not.
Okay. Okay, that's it, thanks.
Okay, next one's dog park research, anything there?
No, I think at the last meeting, we discussed that there was David, I don't know if we recall, there was no policy or code against it, but identifying where and what properties would be problematic.
I think that sums it up.
All right, do we want to take that off of the old business?
I think we can.
I think
Okay.
it's,
let's do that. And we can always bring it back up if we start pursuing a like if McNeely Park takes off and we want to try to put a dog park in there, or there's a space or a place, we can go back and add that back. All right, so David, let's take that off for next time. And then Birdtown, Pennsylvania,
No report.
no report, okay. But that's headed in the right direction. It was just a matter of them completing the application.
Yeah, I think that's where they are. They're getting this stuff together. I don't know if anyone from the Nature Conservancy has more
Yeah, I
info.
don't have any,
Yeah,
any real update other than I know Sharda was working on it a week or two ago when we had our annual meeting. I don't know, Natalie, maybe you remember more than I do, but it should be. The folks that are working on it are super conscientious, so it should be forthcoming.
Yeah, I don't imagine that they're gonna let it fall through the cracks.
right.
Okay, last on the list is the Nature Conservancy storage shed.
I've been working with Elaine and Ron and a few others just back and forth. I don't think that the public works site is anywhere we want to land that shed. It's just, as you have seen over the years, it has turned from the public works yard to public works and fire training, public works and firing range, and there's a lot down there. Not something we probably want to encourage. That's my first pass at it with my director and the superintendent as well, is that there's definitely a place for this thing, but to have you come and go freely through the yard whenever snow removal's going on or anything, along those lines, I think we can have it make sense elsewhere. But we need to figure out what elsewhere is and make it useful to you, and everything like that. Obviously, visual, we don't want it somewhere hidden that, all of a sudden it's filled with spray paint cans and, all that type of stuff. So
Is there a proposed size to it?
I don't think so. I think we're going locate, we're kind of working half backwards of location and then back into the shed, unless there's one that's selected already.
Does Bird Park have an area that would have, it seems like that might be a place.
I mean, if you could do it by the parking,
Like off, because that parking lot there's definitely space towards Washington Road on that parking lot. Like grassy areas that
Yeah,
you
that
would
was
think,
one area I had thought about, proposing.
Plus
but-
it's central.
yeah,
And would
it
the
is
objective
central
is for
to-
storage or for?
Yeah.
Right now, this group operates out of all of their garages, plus grabbing wheelbarrows from us, pitchforks. So it's more just finding kind of a central hub to free up some garages for other
This is
things.
basically to store their tools.
Is there an opportunity, I know, when you look at different sheds, there are sheds that are pretty basic and then there are sheds that are pretty advanced. Is there an opportunity to put something that would be more appealing to the community and the visual? I know we did the thing at the end of, is it Painter's Run and Bower Hill Road, there's an entity that's there and they have some really, really high, beautiful sheds that are there that would be a lot more appealing to the community than just a plain.
yeah. Well, I don't think they picked a design of the shed, but I'm sure I would like a nice looking one as well,
Yeah.
even as a person who's just using it, but sure.
Yeah, I'll defer to Elaine and Ron and Phil who are working on it. I had done some just preliminary sizing and it's sort of like your basic backyard
Yeah,
barn shed, not one of the cheapo, we like plastic or metal ones, but
like
maybe
8 feet by
a wooden
12
one,
feet or
8 or
something.
12, something. And I think Phil, I may have sent you a map that had like a 20 by 20 foot square or something, just as so somewhere that this is not a big structure.
Is there a way
Yeah,
to
just
think big and say, could you do some conservancy type training or have where the elementary school kids could come or summer programs could come inside and could, instead of having it as a small limited shed, actually have it as a teaching
well,
center?
that would be probably something that we would wanna do at the rec center, the future rec center, instead of at a shed. We just want a place to keep
Right.
the wheelbarrows and shovels.
And it's also a function of cost.
Yeah.
The Conservancy's meager resources and the municipalities' larger, albeit meager resources, someplace just to store stuff. Is as lofty as we've gotten so far. Some grant funding came our way collectively to do something more integrated. I'm sure we'd be happy to think about it.
Yeah.
Is there any other sites other than Bird Park that have been thought of to put it?
Not on my end, but if, I'm open to entertaining whatever the group,
I mean, to me, Bird Park is central. It's where you probably do a large chunk of your work.
Yeah, and there's lighting there already by the,
Yeah, it seems like a pretty easy solution, and there's definitely space to the right of the parking lot. In fact, we've talked about expanding the parking lot, as a project line item kind of for that field, so there's definitely room there right now.
I'll have more on this. I got a little bit of freed up time and we can press this through for December and maybe get something moving so guys can start thinking about, shed selection and all that.
thank you, that's very helpful. Quick note on the Bird parking lots, since that was mentioned. I know in the past, consideration has been given to pave it or upgrade it, and obviously high costs. And when I'm over there for work days during the soccer season, it's obviously very tight. So I was thinking with something low-tech and cheap, like just posting, like, steel posts, like fence posts up, where the cars could center themselves in the parking spaces. Because we can't really mark it permanently because it's not paved, but something, because people park every which way because the spaces aren't delineated.
Just takes one.
Yeah. Oh, even the parking garage, go over to on the market days, on Saturdays, it's like, there's always one that's like partially over the line and then
It's a
there's.
suggestion.
I'll look at some quick impact stuff like, I know where you're going. I'll get you something on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll move on to new business. I'm gonna bring up a couple items first, and then we'll open it up to anybody else who has anything. Based on the speakers tonight, the Williamsburg tennis court, I think we said it's under the line at this point. So just for everybody's knowledge, we don't really have any control over what's under or over the line. We make our recommendations every year, and it's up to the commissioners at this point. But we can add, now that I think it's been brought to our attention, the idea of the clay courts versus the hard court tennis surface and how there is only this one court, we could add to our project list both the resurfacing of Williamsburg Court as well as, and I'm not saying we have to, I'm just saying we could throw it out as an idea, that adding hard courts to the racket center, if converting clay courts to the racket center, or looking for other places to have more hard courts. We can certainly put that in our list of projects and then determine at a later date like where that would fall. But I think it's definitely something to consider if there really is only one in Lebanon, other than the high school.
I think that'd be a good topic for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
what's the typical maintenance of a hard court versus a clay court? I mean, is the clay more demanding and more costly to maintain than a hard court?
Yes. Clay is very difficult to maintain. It's very labor intensive. It requires reconditioning every year, which is expensive with scarifying and new material. It requires irrigation, so you're using water, you have to brush, roll. There's a lot of maintenance that goes into it. However, there's a reason we've had hard true courts in Mount Lebanon for almost 60 years. It's because that's what they want to play on. I don't think people would be in favor, generally speaking, of replacing 2 hard true courts or 1 hard true court with a hard tennis court. I think there would be interest in converting potentially to more pickleball courts. That is one of the, I'll say options, not necessarily a recommendation, but an option in the Main Park Master Plan, because we did include the tennis center in that, just in that study. But then asphalt, I mean, upfront cost is probably pretty similar, but then you're not doing much maintenance after that. You might have to roll it to dry it periodically. If it has some bird baths on it, you're gonna have to line stripe periodically, as we've heard about the hard court in Williamsburg. Eventually, you're gonna have to do some crack sealing or mill and overlay to make it nice again once it starts to develop cracks and, deteriorate, so.
Just for clarification, hardcore is asphalt.
Typically,
And then the
yeah,
hard true is what's at the high school. The high school,
high school is a hard court. The tennis center has hard true, which is it's a mineral, it's like crushed stone. And it's rolled so that it's fairly hard. It's kind of like, similar to like a limestone bike trail, if you've ridden on those.
not
They're-
the clay.
Well, clay is sort of a misnomer. It's really a crushed stone,
Okay.
but
All right,
people
so
often refer to it as
I'm
like.
following.
It's more
I'm
clay-like,
following you.
whether that's the
Okay,
official
that's what
term.
you're calling a hard court.
No,
Hard
hard court
true.
is asphalt,
Hard
yeah,
true.
hard true, yeah.
Gotcha, all right.
It is confusing.
How many clay courts are there right now?
We have 13 now that we've converted to typical. So we had 15.
Does the,
And then just one hard.
and one hard at
One
Williamsburg.
hard court at Williamsburg.
And then the high school has, is it 3 or 4?
6.
6.
But those are school
But
districts.
Those are
then-
school districts.
So
There
for
are
them,
also
it's
other
only
school
one
district
hard
hard
court.
courts.
Yeah,
just for-
Foster, Markham, they're all
Right.
hard courts.
Markham, yeah, you're right, Markham first. The school district has quite a few, but the municipality does not.
Yeah, we have one.
I mean, so the rec leagues that are competitive, they have a preference for, I guess, I'm more interested, we have one person that's advocated for the hard courts, but kind of more information about the competitive leagues and what they
Well, they-
prefer.
They use the true court because that's
Because
what's
they
always
have
been.
to,
I
or
think it's
because
because
they
that's what
want
they've
to?
always been. It's always been.
It's preferred. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
You could play at the high school on a hard court for free. Or you can pay $20 an hour in the bubble, or I'm sorry, outdoors and more in the bubble. And people play on hard track.
Okay.
It's considered superior by many, let's put it that way.
Is there, with the racket center, some of the new management there, and also you guys at the rec department have, is there a way to get a report of like the usage of the 13 courts and like how, do we have a sense, like almost like a field census study for, maybe not that in depth, but for the racket center, so we have, and
We
can we
have
start to
the
track some
capability.
of the
Sure.
usage? Because I think that
We
would be
can.
helpful for people to understand.
Yeah.
Because this is not the first time we've heard that. We heard that, if you remember the letter from the young man who wanted to turn a tennis court into a skate park. Like, just to have data to say, no, in fact, the 13 courts are used X percentage of the time or what have you.
Yeah, I think that's a worthy goal to have some more analysis on maybe even by I don't know if it's hour by hour, but it could be, or just sort of time blocks,
Right.
The work day, the school day is obviously a slower time.
Sure.
The heat of the summer is a slower time. But I think, and frankly, now that we've taken away 2 of them, there's going to be a change. I mean, they're going to have to
Right.
consolidate to other courts. So, but yeah, I think that's a worthy project that we could take a look at.
I also think like if we have 13, we resurface one, it seems like a hard surface is easier to maintain, and then just get some information on what people reserve. Like even at the rec center, you have the option, the majority are the clay for, yeah, thank you. And one is the hard surface, there's at least an option at the rec center, and then if we're seeing like, okay, no one uses the hard, they actively avoid it, or just, because we can't really collect data on who's using the high school one, because those are district.
Right.
And no one's monitoring the free ones that are at the other.
And I think there are hard surfaces at Markham and Foster. I don't think they're in very good shape.
Right.
And the school district, that has got to be very
Right,
low
which
on
is
their
out of our
priority list, I
ability.
assume.
So I think considering at least maybe one
Right.
that.
And then the
there's
one at
option.
Williamsburg is not really usable until it gets this surface coating on it, so. I don't know, I think it's something to explore. Can we add like the racket center usage to the old business line? We'll replace the dog park study with racket center.
Old business,
Yeah, add it to that.
racket center court use
Yes,
analysis.
sure.
Amanda, do you think it's fair to just look at fair market value of competitive, pool rink, golf, tennis rates in around surrounding communities in terms of what people charge or what their going rates would be to make sure that, what our communities, I would think we're probably, in some cases, it sounds like we're below in some cases, or maybe
Yeah,
above
I
to
would
do
assume they've
that.
already done
Yeah,
something.
you've done
We do this
that,
every
yeah,
year.
is this something
It's done. It's done.
we're pretty comfortable with what's being charged?
We are comfortable with what we charge for across the board. I mean, I can tell you recreation isn't cookie cutter. You can't compare apples to apples because every department does something different. But, you know, we do the best we can to try to find meaningful comps. And
Like with the golf course, you have like USC's, but it's three holes, not,
right, you know,
Nine,
Frosty
and you
Valley
can't-
is a good
you
comparison,
can't compare
but
like a country
you
club
know,
or a public course. or
exactly,
whatever.
those aren't going to be good comparisons. You know, and they're funded differently, like some courses, you know, there's not a lot of 9 holes, some are sprawling 18 or 36, and they have tons of food and beverage and other, you know, attractions at their club or site, so like I said, it's not gonna be apples to apples, but we certainly try to pick the best comps that we can, you know.
Getting back to Williamsburg, so that's the only municipal hard court.
Correct.
And as Ross spoke, Ross has been here twice, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So the resurfacing of Williamsburg Park was built as a basketball court,
No, there's also a basketball court.
so it's separate. So that,
Yep.
he's talking about the tennis court itself,
Correct,
resurfacing it and keeping it tennis. That's what he's advocating for. So
correct.
did I understand, you said that there's potential for them to use the same middle lines for pickle and tennis, if they were to resurface it as tennis, paint it as tennis, and reline it as tennis, you were saying they could potentially
If there's
both
still a
utilize
need
the middle line if they wanted to play pickle.
Yeah, you can put the pickleball lines centered on the tennis net, and then that's the least obtrusive way to multi-use a tennis court.
And do you find that there's pushback that you cannot use the hard courts at Foster?
They're not playable for people that want to play, like juniors that are preparing for high school matches, college players, adults that want to play legitimate USTA or organized leagues. Those are not playable courts. The only,
first two at Foster along the road, even though.
no, not really. The only playable courts on hard court in Mount Lebanon are the 6 at the high school, or that's it. And on weekends, you can't get on one of those courts between 7 and about 11:30. And people, if those are booked, we will drive to other communities instead of, not all, some will go down and use the hard true clay courts, but the majority, if you're preparing high school kids or competitive play, it's a drastically different playing surface and type. Generally, those that are 50 to 60 plus prefer the hard true clay because it's easier on your joints. However, it's a different playing experience.
For sure. And is the Williamsburg resurfacing, I mean, help me remember, is that even something that we're looking at?
The actual asphalt itself? No.
Resurfacing it, getting it up to snuff, relining it?
We have a budget line to coat the existing asphalt, so that would be seal cracks, make it a good surface to accept the coating. And from there, you would budget every few years to recoat it.
So
And
that,
that is on the, it's at least it's.
It's in there right now, yeah,
It
it was below this year.
Not funded, but
Gotcha,
in there,
gotcha.
yes, yes.
So the filling of the cracks, the filling it, getting it prepped for coating it, and then recoating it,
Yes.
and then
And
relining it.
Phil, when was it last resurfaced? I mean, it hasn't been that long.
2017,
Okay, so
I think was.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's in terrible condition, right?
No, the court itself, no. There's some reflective cracks that come through, where each pour meets each other. Same as anybody's road, those end up coming through, but the contractor I took out, he wasn't scared of the condition. He said things you can flow in sealant to major cracks and everything like that and coat the whole thing.
the sealant line item was not a crazy amount of money. Is there, for lack of a better word, a slush fund that ever, like that you can slide that in somewhere on another line item? Or like that there's money, a pot of money somewhere that can be
I'd say
towards?
at that clip, at that dollar clip, probably not,
No, okay,
you know.
What was it roughly? I don't remember.
it was like,
I think we're at 38,
that's
and
what I
that
was
was
remembering,
basketball and,
40-ish.
Yeah.
basketball and tennis.
It was both courts.
So,
Just recoding.
correct.
And then, so for 2 years away from, so in 10, it'll be 10 years in 2 years. You
Right.
said it was resurfaced in 17.
Yep.
What would be the typical cycle when that would come around for resurfacing?
Well, for them, you have, I've been here 10 years. You have asphalt basketball courts at Iroquois, Rockwood, Highland Terrace, Brafferton. The one if you go travel to these different ones, none of them are crumbling or falling apart. And that's at least 10 years,
They've been
and I could
done.
look it up, but you're probably around 15
But
to
I think the
18.
question is like for the high school courts, how often do they sort of reseal them?
Well,
to
I'm
keep
talking
them
about,
upgraded.
not the high school course, I'm
Like
talking
the-
about the ones you're talking
Add
about.
the existing asphalt.
Yeah, and then are you saying that you don't think that is good enough? You don't, the recoding is not,
Oh, no, if it was recoded and what's below the line right now, that would make it, that would meet the needs and requests
not
of.
resurfaced?
It was built from scratch again in 2017, so roughly on hard quartz asphalt, the high school power washed it, filled in their cracks. They did that after 7 years to keep it on the up and up. So a hard court, if you do it right, it's about 7 to 10 years. You just need to do the minimal 20 grand resurfacing, cleaning, and patching. You don't have to do a complete rebuild unless you have some sidings or some severe ground disruption.
Yeah, I would support that in a second.
Yeah, and I think that's what my point was, what does the high school do? So if the high school, just as an example, does it every 7 years, and if you do it every 7 years, it's half the cost. Can we get on a better program, not wait the 10 years and then it's twice the cost, or?
If they're coded, yeah,
Right.
then you would want to, if we were to code a court, then I would automatically have flags to tell me what years to put in for resurfacing.
Right.
Yep.
But I don't
Or
think,
for recoding?
Yes,
Not
asphalt.
No one's talking about like redoing the asphalt, it's
Right.
purely just the
Yes,
coating.
yep.
And it's how often should that be done, and it seems like we're past whatever window it should be done.
Right, if it was ever on there to begin with, which it wasn't.
Right.
but
So,
it sounds like it's in there, just not approved, not funded.
correct.
So we need to, I think that's another thing to add to our line.
I would support that for 26, but anyway,
Yeah,
okay. I just
same-
wanted to
same.
clarify. I just
Same,
wanna
but
make
now
sure
it's
we're
been
hearing
brought to our
terms.
attention, we can add it
Hard
to,
true, hard
we
true.
can add it to our list of projects for 27. That's really all that we're able to do at this point. Okay, moving on to, well, while we're sort of on the same topic, pickleball. There was another complaint, I think we're getting a couple more complaints about Meadowcroft in terms of noise and parking, et cetera. I saw another email come through about that. I don't know that there's really anything we can do except for, again, look at like noise barrier projects for our project list for 2027. If there's technology that we can actually do something about it.
Have there been recent complaints or?
Yeah, it's the same people continuing to complain, I would say. And the parking is unfortunate, but I think that's the municipality, I think you gotta keep calling every time someone's parked illegally, and the more you do it, the less likely it is for someone to do it the next time. I think that's the battle there. And then, the wait list for basketball, I assume it's full, and
Is that age specific? Is that a?
that was, she said there were 2 6th graders on the wait list. Is that accurate, David? And
Yes, so like,
Which
If-
league, are we talking
if-
the rec league or the?
it's
or the
our
travel?
recreation, it's our, we don't do
It's
travel.
this rec.
It's rec, it's 6th grade, and just kind of a couple comments about the whole thing. We'd love to accommodate everyone. I mean, frankly, if we didn't have to turn someone away, we wouldn't turn someone away. But there are practical reasons why you simply can't do that. We want to offer a quality program for all participants, and if you put too many kids on one team, there's not going to be as much playing time, particularly for older kids. After decades of experience, we know what that magic number is.
And it's 11, is that what?
And it's 11 in this league, and it's 11 in many others as well. But we're restricted by coaches, as the commenter mentioned, gym time, and then just time, period. Think about, we have over 750 kids in our basketball program this season. Everyone has a special request on whose team they want to be on. So we have to balance those requests with the limits per team, with the gym time, and with the coaches. And sixth grade has another constraint where we do a draft. So you have to have the draft organized and your coaches selected prior to holding the draft. So we can't create a team after the fact for all those reasons. 11, we have to, I guess another way of saying this is, at some point, we have to pull the plug and say, we're done, and we need to move on to the next phase of the program. Juggling indefinitely doesn't work. And frankly, there's no guarantee you're gonna have a coach either. So this is where we are. We do the absolute best we can to accommodate everybody. And I think the fact that there were only 2 kids on the waiting list in that league says we did accommodate almost everyone.
Was that after were those kids after the registration closed?
I believe they registered the day before the draft.
What do you mean by draft?
Pardon me?
What do you mean by draft? Can you
Oh,
explain
so
that?
we have it's not really a tryout, but all coaches and players attend in the high school gym. And coaches take turns picking. It's like, kind of like the NFL draft. You pick your players and you each take turns. That's how we balance those teams. So it would be difficult at best to draft a team with no coach and then have no guarantee you have a coach. And again, we had already balanced and filled at 11 per team. So starting the process over again the night before the draft doesn't work.
So for example, if they had 10 teams of 11 and they had 10 coaches prepared to coach, they go into that draft with 10 coaches that pick
So all
11 kids each for 10
all the athletes
teams.
go in are pre-approved for a team. They're not trying out, they're
It's
just
an
getting
evaluation.
divided.
It's an evaluation, and then
Okay.
the coaches get to pick who they want, and they go through, and they're picking again, because their kid wants to be with their friend, and they also want to pick good players.
But it's not like the 2 waitlisted were there and then didn't get on a team. It's
Correct.
everybody
Everybody that was
up.
signed up got on a team.
Okay.
You
That's all-
have to
that's all I wanted to
you have to be
know.
registered to attend.
They didn't make the evaluation day.
They did not register in time to be part of that
I
process.
have one comment. Is basketball the only rec sport running at that time, or are there others? Because I would say maybe if there are students or athletes that are waitlisted, is there an opportunity to say, sorry, basketball's closed, but maybe consider these other sports that are still open and see if hey, hockey is running or wrestling, whatever.
I mean, travel runs concurrently. And another thing we offer to people is the wait list is there because sometimes people do pull out, and we would gladly take that child and put them on a team
If
where there's
somebody
a
breaks their
space.
arm next week, they drop out. They
Right.
Is 7th, so is it 6th and then 7th and 8th is together?
I believe so. Sometimes it changes, depends on numbers, but
And are they all filled, could you put 2 of these people on a 7th and 8th grade team? Would you ever do
we
that?
don't put kids out of the age
That
range. That's our policy. We don't play up, we don't play down. You play in the age group that you're eligible for.
David, if they were to have registered within the time frame, is it like an inventory issue where you say there's only a certain number of spots and then it closes, or is this based on if they would have registered prior to the closing date, would that have been handled differently?
Well, let's say they registered 3 days earlier, but they were still the last 2 to register. I don't know that would have changed
I'm just
anything.
curious. Yeah.
I don't know that it would. But the earlier you register, the more time we have to try to put the puzzle pieces together.
And how long was registration open for?
Since August,
And if they would have made the evaluation day, there's no cuts in rec, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
you'd get on a team if you had registered and
So
were.
the 22 kids would have become 24. If they would have been at the evaluation, they'd have had 24 kids in sixth grade, maybe 3 teams of 8 or 2 teams of 12, or, it doesn't matter. They would have been on a team if they would have registered in time for the evaluation.
Yes, because we would have established the right number of coaches and had it in there. Now, let's say we're a week out and we have 60 kids and 5 coaches. Well, we can only take 55. That's it. We do arm twisting, like, we'll email the extra 5 kids and say, hey, is there a parent among you that's willing to coach? I mean, this happens, this is what we do. But there's a limit. You can't do this forever.
And as somebody who runs a program that is not 750, but we are at 450, I completely understand. There comes a time where there's an endpoint. I mean, for flag football, if we've ordered uniforms, like, we cannot add any more people. That's like our cutoff point. We've been open for this long. We've had a wait list. We've let in everybody we can off the wait list. But at some point, there is a time, and I just have to say to people, 1, register early for any program, and 2, volunteer to coach, because it's like pulling teeth. And every program everywhere it needs people to volunteer, and it's always the same people volunteering. And more people need to step up if they want more kids to participate.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's the same 3 people that are not only running basketball, but they're running Club Levo, they're putting on senior lunches, they're running Zumba, yoga. I mean, this is not the only program they're focused on. So there's a lot, really, the capacity is limited. We just you can't do it all.
But I think that and to promise that if someone breaks their arm and drops out, they're the first phone call that's made.
Absolutely.
They will be there. It is a live and active wait list. If there is a room opens up for them, they will be called. But otherwise,
that would happen.
I know in flag football it happens every year. Somebody wants a refund because they broke their arm or broke their leg.
That's a large number, but it is, there's a finite number of spots and you just have to register early. It is.
David, the rec teams are a really important thing to the community because these sports are so serious across the board that the rec programs are sort of like, they are recreational to the kids because, I don't want to drive my kid all over the country to make this team and that team.
Or can't afford to, like
Can't afford
accessibility.
to, so they are great programs and I think they're becoming more important. And you guys sound like you're doing great. My oldest is 5, so we're just like doing a little bit of soccer and stuff.
Sporties for shorty.
Yeah.
It's really great. But,
T-ball
set a
opens
reminder.
in 2 months.
yeah. But that's just the culture of youth sports these days. So there are parents just looking for a positive experience for their kid. So and I've no doubts that things are going and have been going in the right direction, but it is sort of getting more extreme. So
we like to remind folks this is recreation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we try to keep it not too serious.
And it is a successful program as evidenced by 750 kids participating.
Yeah.
But is
I'm
that
sure.
also part of the problem, not for you like getting kids, but are you competing for more space and venue with these travel teams? Or
We
do we get
have to fight
priority?
for gym time.
Yeah, because I think that's part of the accessibility issue too, is if we want more access, say we have the coaches, say we have the kids, but we're competing against, more resourced travel teams that are buying out space.
Or just
that's
new
problematic.
programs that come
Yeah.
along. Like if the school district offers something new, they take the gym.
Yeah.
And there's really no recourse for non-school district users of the space.
And the
that has happened.
municipality is at the school everybody is at the school district's mercy because they're the only ones that have gym space in Mount Lebanon.
Especially basketball.
Yeah.
Talking indoor
So there is no
spaces.
municipality gym space to be had. So that's something to consider when you're thinking about a rec center renovation.
Well, that's option C, I'm afraid.
At 20 versus 40 million.
Right.
That's really true, like if we're talking about you can get the coaches and you want to expand access, but,
Space is
do
a
we have
limit.
the space?
Yeah, it's a limitation as well.
Municipal space.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, so.
All right, any other, I think that's all I have on for new business. Anybody else have any other topics to bring up this evening?
Have you ever considered putting bubbles over the basketball course in the winter?
The ones in the main park?
Not
Not
really.
that I've heard of. Not that I've
That
heard
would
of.
add a lot of capacity.
It's very, very expensive.
To put the bubbles in.
Yes. Yeah. I guess it's kind of new business, it's coming, but there is a proposal from the Resiliency Board, it's in your SharePoint site. I think it's called Hidden Hollow Resiliency Board, or Resiliency Board Hidden Hollow Proposal. Just look it over. It's a proposal to convert a portion of the golf course property to the right of number 7 fairway and adjacent to the clubhouse and garden plots, if you're familiar with the layout, into sort of it had like, add tree canopy, I think, is a big part of it, but there's a pavilion, there's a hammock situation.
And a kids' play area.
Yeah.
It looked like adding almost like a wooded park to the golf course, to
Yeah.
like unused space in the golf. It's not impacting the golf course at all, it's just unused space in the
Well,
golf course.
not in its current state, but I don't want to get into the weeds, but just look it over. The idea is for a joint meeting. I think they're across the hall right now. I had hoped they would just come to this meeting and we could do it tonight, but it didn't work out apparently. So at some point in the future, that'll be a discussion. So just look it over so you're not caught off guard.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
No, it's new business, or, we've got David sent around this petition on pickleball players, and I think that just reinforces that perhaps, for one of next year's projects is to reactivate the pickleball subcommittee, and, ponder additional pickleball options collectively. I don't have anything intelligent to add to that right now.
You're thinking next year, Tom?
Well, I guess we could start on it December, but
Let's just say soon.
soon.
Got it.
Well, as we start in the sort of the next calendar year, we kind of reboot our project
Yeah.
list, take off the things that were funded and start to add things. And just from tonight, we've had a couple ideas on things to add to that list regarding the pickleball, hardcourt tennis.
Who's tasked with remembering all those items?
I will try to remember them.
I'll try as well.
I didn't even remember the name tags, so.
So it's not Phil.
All right. I took some notes, David, too. I'll throw in a couple things that I have changes to the agenda for next time. So I'll try to remember when I see it for the next meeting. So if that's all the new business, the next meeting date is Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. It'll be in person and in Zoom. So we will go ahead and adjourn at 7:12. Thanks.
We broke our streak of